continuing our reactions to this is we have got to, above all, seize the initiative. Now there are three bloggers that I know of here, a couple guys who write for various blogs, who are active on social media. Got to get that message out. As the mainstream media's influence fades with the majority of flyover country, and I only use that term because we all know what it means, all right, and alternative news comes up on the net and becomes more and more strong, it's imperative that we seize that. And I don't care what outlet. It doesn't make any difference what outlet. More is better in this case. Okay, some people like these, you know, the conspiracy theory websites, and I love a good conspiracy theory. I just don't get wound the axle about it. All right, but if you get that on there and the word begins to spread over the back fence and so on, then people begin to figure out, wait a minute, am I going to believe ABC News or my lying eyes? Okay, and that's really what we're trying to make it boil down to, is we create so much distance that they have to choose between the one-eyed brain sucker known as the television or their lying eyes. Control your outliers, and I'm going to name names. Clive Bundy. It's not the immaculate cause. Good place to make a stand, probably, but somebody should have had their arm around him going, you don't get to speak freely in media. Okay? You just don't. All right? And I don't care who it is, if you've got that cause, because the guy who's going to be the focal point of the cause is probably not going to be one of us, at least for that long, where we can get that message out. So somebody has got to take control of that guy and make sure he stays on message and he's not allowed to wander off the script too far. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it, from major corporations and their talking points to all the way down to the guy you just can't stand who never gets off script. If you want a training aid for this, watch Mitch McConnell conduct a press conference. He never gets off task. He never departs from his talking points. I swear they could throw bricks at him and he's going to continue to march right down that road. Okay, that's David's video in this. I'm going to stop there. Now, we've gone through Op4 actions, we've gone through our reactions. Now we're into the action, reaction, counteraction model still. We have Op4 counteractions. Folks, a busload full of questionably healthy people coming into your town is probably a court order. So the first thing you're looking at is contempt charges at the federal level. It's not going to be like Lois Lerner, where the rump Congress issues a contempt charge and she goes, yeah, okay. So be prepared for this stuff. You're going to find it. You're going to find indictments coming down. You may find force being used against your folks on the ground or against the political leadership of all this stuff, ranging from less lethal all the way up through lethal. And we'll sort out the problems, manufacture charges, and cover story later. And lawfare, which I really think is kind of where these two fit. Okay? Everybody's heard that word recently in the news. If you're on the wrong side of, you know, whatever happens to be, whether it's Dick Nixon or where we're at now, you're going to get audited. And forfeiture. They're going to take your stuff. Okay? And if you haven't looked up some forfeiture cases and some examples of forfeiture, you need to. Right. These are the Op4 counteractions you're going to see as long as you're seeing a, what was that place in California? Marietta. Where they all stood out there in Marietta and said, y'all need to turn those buses around and take them back.
Mercia.
Mercia, thank you. I looked at a couple things and I just couldn't remember the name of it. Mercia, California, where the citizens went out there and went, now, and, you know, again, .gov blinked. That's not going to continue forever. Eventually they're going to put on their goggles and get serious about it. These are the counteractions at a minimum you can expect to see on it. So be ready for that. It really is as simple as this, conceptually. You have a town. You have a way in and out of the town. Okay. And here they come. All right, and you decide to establish a road out here. Again, action, reaction, counteraction model. You establish a roadblock out here. Not getting any further. Mercia, California. This is it, boys. Line in the sand. We mean it. They all stop here. Well, here come the reaction forces. That's their reaction to your action. Your counteraction at this point, when you've got that blockade established, and you have keeping them out of there, and their reaction shows up in the form of, we're going to break this blockade and we're going to take these buses into Merced, California, because we're through fooling with you hillbillies. I am one, I can say that. You're going to have to do something to prevent them from doing it. And that can be as simple as getting in behind them and interdicting their supply lines. Because if you're out here on this X, I don't like the term on the X, but if you're on this X, all your support's back in town. Okay? They've got to bring all their support in from way out here. So at that point, you begin to expand your issue, your operation, to keep them from getting supplies. Okay? You cut off their water first. Okay? They can sit there with lights on all day and be thirsty. Don't worry about their power. Let them sit there and sweat for about a day. Okay? But keep them from getting resupplied. So as you begin to expand this out, you're going to look at the action, reaction, counteraction model and the second and third order effects of what your action is going to have on them. In other words, what are they going to do about it? That's your interior zone, within the town and the immediate surrounding area. Sam, in the intel world, this knows your area of interest. The area that you can directly affect you, area of operations. That's the area that you can influence and that directly influences you. When you talk about area of interest, that's things that are coming in that may affect you, may not, depending on which way they turn or whatever they do out there. The interior, as I showed on there, is your town and the area that you influence. That's your area of operations. And your exterior, consider it a zone, your area of operations. This is where the coordination and synchronization part of the three legs of a resistance movement start to come into effect. Because the guys blocking the road, they're standing there with guns or whatever, or they're lying down in the road or whatever. That's your operational guys. Exterior zone is where we get into making them play whack-a-mole. Instead of being able to concentrate everything on any town and the bunch of guys on either end of it going, nah, not coming any further, fellas. Right. You start getting into this sort of thing where you begin to apply an indirect form of pressure, of psychological pressure onto these guys that cause them to think, if we pull out and go over there into the mutual aid agreement, or because, .gov sent us a wad of money and said go, there's possibly some bad things going to happen back here. At least uncomfortable things. Because we're not at the point of a really bad thing yet. Right? If you're not familiar with night letters, that came, well, it's been going on for a long time. The most recent evolution of it's in Iraq and Afghanistan. One morning and there's a letter on your door and you open it up and it goes, you need to quit educating these girls or we're going to chop your head off. Okay? And it's been very effective. It has been devastatingly effective to the hearts and minds, civil affairs, whatever part of the campaign you want to call it, because they're not playing. Okay, and there aren't enough people to secure the house of every school marm, every schoolmaster, every principal. I'm not talking about schools here. When we start talking about night letters here, we're talking about people, night letters, letters to the editor, that sort of thing, directed toward people who can influence your actions in your AI.
So, for example, Mayor Ernie, who hired that fancy new high-speed Chicago police executive who brought in the SWAT unit, Mayor Ernie might be getting a night letter.
Could be. And on that, if you know through your information collection efforts and your intelligence analysis and dissemination of it, that every county around you has a mutual aid pact for that sort of thing, then every surrounding county ought to start experiencing some of these things. If I were going to put this in order, I would probably put night letters last. Shunning, for example. Okay, everybody knows that, and really, if we're talking about mutual aid treaties and somebody coming there, mutual aid packs or whatever they call them these days, where the neighboring sheriff's department's going to come in there, they got to eat somewhere, and their family does dry cleaning, and they get their car worked on. When you have a chat with the folks who do that sort of thing and go, you really ought to stop serving these guys. Because if it happens over here in any town, it's going to happen right here in our town. And when they go in to get a cup of coffee, they just get ignored. The Dutch were fantastic at this in World War II. They couldn't fight back. They couldn't, the Nazis were there. They're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. They just ignored them. German officer would walk in at a restaurant, they get up and leave. And that's what we're talking about with shunning. You know, everybody knows who the local cop is, especially the particularly gung-ho one. He walks into, a restaurant, everybody gets up and leaves. Guy closes the door. Okay. Won't sell them gas. That sort of thing. We're talking about social shunning. Photographs of them. And we're not talking about clandestine photography out of a hole in a cardboard box in the back of the van with black windows. Just drive by and take his picture. Cool. Well, that never happened before. I think I need a cup of coffee. Ooh, that didn't work out too well either. I guess we're going to have to go get gas, go get some groceries. Sorry, pump's broke. See how this builds? And then at some point in time, this kind of guy's going to go, what is going on here? And somebody's going to go, okay, what's going on here, bud? And if you can't put your arm around him and tell him what's going on here, bud, right here, there's your electronic force multiplier.